because I tried to record earlier. Okay. All right.
Heck.
Telestro.
Hello.
Should I call you Ty? I mean, I feel more natural calling you Telestro, to be honest.
That's fine. Doesn't matter. Either or.
All right, cool. It's nice to finally be video chatting. I know that we've chatted here and there, on Instagram and stuff. It's nice to have you here in your natural environment.
Excited to be here.
And you're smiling a lot too, so that's good.
I am.
I was worried.
No, you make me miserable. I want to leave immediately. Get me out of this place. I'm kidding.
Between all the edits I've made of you, I wouldn't be surprised if you had like that weird harassment vibe going on. Like, man, I wonder what he's gonna clip.
No, I think Ethan was a little confused, and one of the first ones, it was like the boxing one. He was like, "Who's this guy? Why is he trying to box me?" But no, I think they're hilarious. I think it's great. I saw the one today. Maybe you clip the podcast.
Oh, you saw that already?
Can't flip for shit is so big. Yeah, I love that. That's good.
I get worried about Ethan because like I don't know how much it offends him or if it doesn't, and I don't want to be like I don't want to make him mad, but at the same time I'm like I don't know, I don't think he would really care that much.
No, he's not that. Doesn't care that much. No, I think they're hilarious. And every time you at Blade Bias in the description, it gives me like the notification for it because I have sometimes I get notifications for Blade Bias, stuff like that. It'll send me notifications. Mm-hmm. So I see just like at Can't Flip for Shit mentioned you in a comment, and I'm like, oh god, here we go.
Like, you just know it's gonna be cursed.
Yeah, I'm like, this is gonna be so bad.
Yeah, I think like it goes off of like I think if you have like a certain amount of followers or if it's like a key channel or something like a neighbor channel that it might like do that because I get notifications for like if Balisong flipping or somebody put something or like you guys or like you especially, but never like randoms. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. There's definitely a criteria.
Yeah, for sure. Yes, one thing I wanted to ask you about is like, I know that you always talk about like how you're like affiliated with Blade Bias and you have your channel, obviously. Your channel is like I think I looked earlier today, it's like 1.8 and then Blade Bias is like 3 point something or whatever.
Yeah.
How does that make you feel? Because I know you've gone into depth about it before, but I kind of wanted to get like on statement. Like, what do you think?
Yeah, so when me and Ethan made Blade Bias, it was mostly because our main channel content takes a lot of time and effort to produce. It's a lot of like before we produce something, there's a lot of time just researching things and just like spending time with the knives we have to kind of get an idea of like, should I recommend it? Should I not recommend it? Like there's a lot of background stuff. And of course, filming and editing takes a while. And especially if I'm doing something that like the swordfish video took a lot of, it didn't take too much time, but it took a lot of like planning to get it to work because I had to go onto the park and film it. And like on a good day, it was just like, it's kind of annoying sometimes. I can't always just put things out when I want to, like there's a ton of knives that I have that I would just want to talk about. Sure. So we made Blade Bias as a way to just kind of just brain dump, like whatever we felt like talking about, whatever we had in hand, we can just dump. And
that's good.
Yeah. It's been very, very nice. And it's been weird seeing Blade Bias slowly creep and then eventually surpass our main channels. And we're like, this thing we're putting barely any effort to is suddenly just like outclassing our main channels. But I think it's the fact that it's consistent and it's like still our opinions. Like it kind of just fills in the gap between our main channel videos. So if you watch the main channel, you get opinions on knives that we really feel are interesting. And then on Blade Bias, there's some other stuff we just felt like talking about. So it's definitely been interesting. But the frequency and uploading every single day, when we're both uploading it, it's an everyday upload. So it definitely helps because I think the Balisong community lacks just content in general is pretty dry a lot of the time. Yeah. It's a lot of the same stuff. And even though on Blade Bias, we're doing like pretty basic stuff that a lot of other people do. I feel like since we have the appeal of there being two people on the same channel who give different opinions on most of the same things, like the jigsaw. I still have it right here. Ethan made a bunch of videos on the jigsaw and then I got it and now I made a video on the jigsaw. So we both get opinions out on like the same thing. So that's a lot of content, a lot to digest.
I mean, it is a lot of content. And so I feel like there's people that come on here that are like, they want to watch a video every day. And then that's kind of like a niche that, you try to fill, but there's also like people that will watch occasionally. Cause it's like, not everybody's like wanting to watch a Balisong video every single day. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But along with lines of what you were talking about earlier, I wanted to talk to you about like the differential between like you were saying something along the lines of like, oh, Blade Bias is like something that a lot of people do. But I don't
Mhm.
really think that you guys fit into that category anymore, just because like the channel has kind of like found its own niche. Like, just by example, there's no other channel that's able to like talk about the sheer volume of ballad songs that you guys are able to cover, just in regards to like your relationships with some of the manufacturers and your ability
Mhm.
to like consistently bring new things to the table. Like, for example, like obviously I can't, I'm not going to be showing a new ballad song every week. You know what I'm saying? Whereas you guys, you have that niche where it's like, I don't think anybody else is doing what you're doing.
Yeah, it's that's where kind of having two of us also benefits greatly, because there's a lot of things that I have gotten in that Ethan hasn't gotten the chance to get in, so I've been able to make a video about it where Ethan hasn't. And same thing the other way around. There's a lot of things Ethan got before I got them, or I still don't like. We have the two different versions of the Medusa. I have the original Medusa and he has the Empress blade. So it's
Mhm.
been interesting because I made my video on the Medusa. Grant wouldn't just send me a second Medusa just to make another Blade Bias video with, but Ethan got the other one. So it's like we get a lot of that where if I don't get the chance to review something or talk about it, there's a good chance he will. So we
Mhm.
basically like there's a lot of things that we get to cover just because like either one of us will get it for whatever reason, whether it's just connections with that person or just like somebody let me borrow it or whatever. So that's how it helps a lot in getting a lot of things covered when there's two different outlets with different connections to kind of cover everything together. So
Yeah,
does help a
and
lot.
different opinions too. You guys have different
Yeah.
opinions on a lot of stuff, and it's like I could see the situation where it's like if you send him something, for example, like say you got a battle song in, you make your video with your opinion on it, and then you could probably get 3 videos out of that, just depending on different angles, and then you send
Mhm.
it to him, and then he's got 3 videos he can make out of it. It's like you guys are like a content farm, so it's
Yeah.
nice that you never run out of stuff to make. But along that line of what I was saying about the differential between your opinions, I wanted to ask you a question that I think you probably wanted to be asked, which is like, what do you think makes you like what differentiates your channel from Blade Bias? Like, obviously I know, but like just kind of to get it out there.
Yeah, so there's a big difference between the content, and with Blade Bias we basically just I use my phone. Ethan has a dedicated camera, but I just use my phone. I have a little head mount that just clips on, and then I just like
Mm.
that's just what I do.
You ever tried holding
And
it?
I've tried, but and there's a few videos where I do hold it if I don't feel like having the head mount on, but the head mount it's better because I can just like I talk with my hands a lot. I move my hands a lot.
Yeah.
So it's nice to have
You do
both
two
hands
hand
free.
tricks. You do like the toss it in
Yeah,
between
yeah,
your
I can
hands.
do that sometimes. But no, my main channel is especially with a few of the upcoming videos because now that I have my own place, I have a lot more freedom with like what I film and how I film it. I can kind of move things around to make a set. Like there's a lot more I could do now. But I have a few videos planned. The Triton needs a video, and also the Cygnus from LDY. Those are like a lot of time is going to go into scripting, shooting, editing, like a lot of pre-release work, like a lot of work before actually just sitting down and recording it. There's a lot of planning, and
Sure.
that leads my videos to being, especially some of the newer. Oh, I dinked my camera. No, we'll be fine. It'll come back. Hold on.
Yeah,
Um,
you're fine.
but here, I'll keep talking. Just give me a second.
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
So my main channel content, and like you said, with the my camera right now that eventually just died on me, which is fantastic. Um, there's
They're doing
there's
too
a
much.
much higher production value. Give me one second.
Oh, hey. Hold on, let me get him back.
Yeah, all right. It happens sometimes. I accidentally just pulled the cable that connected to my camera. So, anyways, my main channel, pick up where I
Oh, go
left
ahead.
off. Yeah, my main channel is just a lot of like a lot of planning, a lot of high production value stuff. Blade Bias is just like I'm thinking about something. I want to talk about this knife. I don't want to take a whole week to make a video, so I'm just going to throw something up on Blade Bias. And there's a very clear, like, my opinions on Blade Bias are usually pretty quick, like, kind of first impressions. Like, here's just kind of how I'm feeling. And then my main channel, if I do a full review, it's a lot of time that I'm sitting there thinking about how do I want to say this? Like, what are my actual thoughts on this product? Like, Blade Bias is something to be always taken with a slight grain of salt because it's
Sure.
more so just like I'm just gonna ramble about this knife for 10 minutes. and my main channel is more premeditated. Like, here's my actual like firm beliefs about this product. So
Sure. Yeah, and I noticed that it takes a while. Like I try to do a couple videos kind of like similar to your main channel videos where I like take a lot of time editing like I did with the Kraken review, and it's just like not my style. But
mhm.
one thing about it is like every time that you say something, it's like so much more consequential because it's like what can I say? You know, how firmly do I believe what I'm saying versus like when you're just talking and flipping,
Yeah.
it's just different. But what's I wanted to ask actually, especially this is like what because I know that like a lot of like your I don't want to say gimmick, but like a lot of like the appeal of Blade Bias is like, okay, there's two people who have like differing opinions and we talk about, you know, similar issues, things going on. But and I know that you guys talk about how like you guys are very different, but I would like
Mhm.
to know like in what ways do you feel like you're different than Ethan? Like give me some example, like it doesn't have to be like something extremely like
Mhm.
abstract or anything like concrete, but just kind of like what any way you want to answer it.
Yeah, me and Ethan have baby pictures together. We've been best friends the whole way, and we started making like Balisong videos like together. The first Balisong video we ever made, he did the flipping and the narration, I did all the camera work. Like we did the whole thing together. But we pretty quickly realized, like especially once I started flipping more, that we prefer a lot of different things, and there's a lot of things that matter differently. Like Ethan's big on like materials and durability and kind of like what a Balisong actually like. He's a little bit more analytical, a little bit more like on paper kind of deal.
Sure.
Meanwhile, I am the guy who has an unreasonable love for the Mako, which is
Disgusting.
not the best, but I can literally just bend the blade with my hands, and that's I still love this thing to death. Like I am a much more experienced. Like there's a few knives that on paper are not the best, but just because I have such a good experience with them, I just like the way they flip and they just mean a lot to me. That I get more of an attachment to that. So I feel like there's the difference of I am a little bit more of like an emotional connection to certain knives and just kind of
Right.
how I feel, whereas
Mhm.
Ethan is more of like a analytical kind of a little bit more. I would say that he's a little bit more like well thought out, and I'm just like I like this. This is good. This is my I like this. And but it's interesting because that poses the dynamic of there are things that I really like just because for some reason I just have a good experience with them, and then there's things that he doesn't really care for, and the other way around. So mostly it's just a difference in I value things that I have fun with. I mean, he does value things that he has fun with as well. But I'm much more, I couldn't care if it's made of 6061 aluminum or grade 5 titanium. I
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
really
yeah.
care. If I'm not having fun with it, then it doesn't matter to me. So,
Yeah, I
yeah.
mean, I guess it's kind of cool because like you get the chance to see like the objective take, which is like important for reviews, and then also
Mhm.
like the emotional take, which is important for reviews. So that's
Yeah.
definitely good. Um, I wanted to ask you about your you're like you're pretty big on Instagram, are you not? Like for the Valsong community.
Yeah, I'd argue so. Yeah.
Okay, with that being said, I absolutely fucking hate Instagram. And like and I can't bring myself to do the grind and pretend like I care about these people's posts and stuff. And like no disrespect, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I just have it for Bell Song Sale and then every now and then to post something. But what I wanted to ask you was like there's a very clear differential in like the grind culture on YouTube and then the grind culture on Instagram.
Hmm.
And as somebody who's like succeeding on both, like what's some insight? Give me something quick where it's just like what's the difference there? What's a big thing there?
I think it's fairly it's not too far off, but I do have my issues with both platforms, and I think that a lot of times on Instagram, people are just shit posting and literally like the 100-day flipping challenge is kind of cool, but like why don't you keep that to your story? Maybe don't like post a shit ton
Smart.
of clips for no reason. And I'm big on like I got decently sized on Instagram. I don't post a ton. I have like a quarter as many posts as some of the other people below me have. It's just because I actually put some kind of time and effort into some of my posts.
Sure.
Um, I think that on Instagram there seems to be a lot of just posting just to post. And on Instagram, I feel like it's a little more meditated because when you look on Instagram, or I mean, sorry, YouTube, when you look on YouTube, the big players are people like Will, people like Big Flips, like people who are making valuable content. And on Instagram, there's not as much of that. It's more just
Mhm.
the big people on Instagram are big because of their flipping clips. So I feel like the
Yeah.
focus on Instagram is much more actual flipping clips and less so like information and valuable topics. And on YouTube, it's kind of the other way around, where people are looking for more. Like if I'm going to look for a tutorial, I'm going to look on YouTube. I'm not going to look on Instagram. So it's kind
Yeah.
of Instagram is more focused on just flipping clips and just cool stuff to look at, and YouTube is more focused on value. So that's kind of how I split it off, and that kind of allows me to have both bases covered, but in different ways.
Oh, interesting. Yeah,
So
that's a good take. I'm gonna make a YouTube short. It's gonna be like Telestro breaks down.
it's like
No,
a whole
okay.
financial breakdown, like one of those just finance bros that it's like sitting in a
Yeah.
podcast.
He's like, all
Yeah.
you have to do is just put an S&P or like,
It's
what's
it's
that? What's
so easy, so easy. All you have to do, devote 80% of your time to this aspect here, invest in these stocks.
how to become
So
a
easy.
millionaire in 5 seconds?
Yeah. How to get famous in the Balisong hobby in 30 seconds.
You got like the eyes popping out here, like,
Yeah,
ooh. Mr.
exactly.
Beast thumbnail.
Yes, exactly. Got to
All
do it.
right, I got to ask you something, a little more controversial that I feel like,
Okay.
and you said for me to blindside you, and that I didn't have to ask you any questions of what you're gonna ask for.
Yes.
So to your
Yes.
credit, everybody that's watching this, he said, don't send me the questions.
Yes, he did ask if I wanted to read the questions first so I could prepare, and I said no. It would be more fun to just throw them. So I'm
All right,
ready.
here it is. Here it
Maybe.
is. So there seems to be like separate factions of the ballad song community, and it just all is in regard to, at least on YouTube, in regard to which of the big YouTubers you like or you watch. And
Mhm.
so like on one side you have like Will Hirsch and kind of like his crew, which is like obviously you've been grouped in there because you and Ethan are so similar and you guys share a lot of the same opinions. And then on the opposite side, you have obviously Balisong Flipping, who you and Ethan like never say his name, I guess, because not to
Yeah.
promote him or anything like that. And I think people tend to group me in there with him. I don't know if that's like, I mean, like, I'll be honest, I sometimes talk to him. He's cool. But at the same time, like, I don't know if I'm necessarily like 100% affiliated with him. But with that being said, like, why do you not like him, or do you feel like people can be like teetering on both sides? Because I feel like I'm a good example
Mhm.
where like I like you guys, I like him, and I would collaborate with either of you. He might be the next one I have on for this thing. So what do you think about that?
Yeah, my issue with Balisong Flipping as a creator is, to me, he says a lot of things. I know he's gone back and forth with doing better and doing worse and kind of whatever, but and everyone changes as a person. But he's said a lot of things that to me seem very like egotistical and very kind of like a lot of things that I just wouldn't respect him saying. Like his whole ego seems to be reliant on the fact that he's like the fastest growing Balisong creator and like the most popular Balisong creator, when in reality some of our videos pull equal numbers to his. Not his most popular ones, but
Damn.
like his average viewer base, sometimes we hit that.
Sure.
And you don't see people like Will going around saying that they're the fastest growing, most popular Balisong creator. So it
Yeah.
really just comes down to stuff like that. In terms of his content, I think it's fine. I don't agree with some of his opinions, but everyone has
Yeah.
different opinions.
Yeah. Me
But
either,
he,
actually.
at the end of the day, he's doing basically the same thing that we're doing, and it's not so much like I have an issue with his content. It's more so he's just said some things in the past that are kind of like, seems like he's got a little bit of an ego, and that is just I'm just not a fan of that. And
Sure.
um, yeah, that's really what it boils down to. It's kind of it.
Yeah, I mean, hey, that everybody has their own opinions, and it's not my job to like be like you have to like Balisong Flipping. I just wanted to know because I feel like there's so much like unsaid things about it and all
Mhm.
that. So, but I mean, one thing about him is like I've made videos in the past, like long videos, like 30-minute videos, like debunking some stupid shit that he said before about the Earth being flat and just all types of crazy ass conspiracy shit that he's on. And
Yeah.
like at one point, I had a chance to like talk to him for like an hour or something like that, and I was just talking to him about everything. And he's basically like the similar sense of humor of like mine. I think that his sarcasm just doesn't transfer as well as mine.
Mhm.
Like I make it a point if I'm going to like say some stupid shit, I want to like make it sarcastic on purpose. But I think he's kind of like, it's like almost like what, like whenever you're like in a group of friends and somebody like busts out a joke and it's just like, it doesn't land well.
Yeah,
I think
it just
that's like
I
the
get you for
sentiment
sure.
of what happens with him. So I think like that's kind of his thing. I don't
Yeah.
think he means half the shit he says, honestly. He's a troll.
Yeah. I feel like that is also kind of what happens a little bit is he says a lot of stuff that just doesn't land for me. And to me, it just
Sure,
comes across in a different way. And it's not like I have a hatred towards him or anything. It's literally just like, I don't really see him as like a friend or anything. Like he's
sure.
just kind of there and I don't
Yeah,
really
he's just another
associate
guy.
with him. I don't really watch his content. Like he's just doing his own thing and that's completely fine. And quickly I want to touch on Will being mentioned because of course me and Ethan started in the hobby watching Will's videos. And of course, when we first like got the chance to talk to Will, of course we were like, "Oh my god, that's Will Hirsch! Oh my god!" But eventually,
Yeah,
over time, and especially after going to Blade Show, Will and Brandon have just become friends of ours. So
right.
at the beginning, we definitely had a little bit of that like fangirly kind of deal, but
Anyone would, I think.
yeah, and when the person you've been basically looking up to the most in terms of like content creation like recognizes your stuff and wants to work with you, it's like, oh my gosh. But over time, it's just become like a friendship at this point.
That's
So
awesome.
a lot of our things that people have said are like Will Hirsch shill statements, like agreeing with a lot of Will's opinions. It's literally like just because I agree with his opinions and Will's a homie. So like
Yeah,
it's really not that deep. And I don't think people don't really take it too bad, but every once in a while I'll come across to like the shill for Will Hirsch is insane here. You're just agreeing with whatever Will says. I'm like, no, it's just because we genuinely have the same opinions. Not
sure.
about everything, I will mind you, but a lot of main Balisongs that come out, a lot of main topics we feel basically the same about. So I just happen to agree, and Will is just we kind of fit very well. Me and Ethan fit very well with Will and Brandon because we all have kind of a similar vibe and a similar like sense of humor. And we just and at Blade Show last year, we just spent the whole show together and we just all got along really well. So it just kind of naturally like at any point, Will and Brandon could have been like, hey, we're gonna go off and do our own thing and that's it. But every single day after the show, they invited us out to dinner. We went back to Will's place once, and it's like it's just a genuine
Pause,
oh
bro.
whoa, don't clip that. I know you're gonna clip that.
I am gonna
But
clip it.
but no, it's just a genuine like we were just friends with them and they just became like people we can ask questions to, just regular old friends. So it's not so
I mean,
much a shill case, it's more just like, yeah, they're good friends of ours now. So that's how it is.
I mean, if I was you, man, I would probably just like stop defending myself on that point because like I heard you say it in the last podcast and like I just don't think that like I feel like maybe you like read a comment or something like that and you just get the idea that that's like what people think. But like I've never thought that or read that or seen that or had that sentiment kind of like pushed to me. Like I know that you guys because you're such a fast growing like I'll say it right now, I think your channel, not your channel. I mean, nothing against your channel, but like Blade Bias
Yeah.
specifically I think is like on the fast track to becoming like a staple the same way that like Will Hirsch and Balisong flipping are like a staple of the community.
Thank you.
And like, oh yeah, no, it's not me saying it to kiss ass. It's just kind of objectively true. If you look at like you guys filling a niche and kind of like being a specific channel where you're like that channel is going to do well, and you can
Mhm.
see it in your growth. You know what I'm saying? But all that's just kind of to say, I fucking lost my train of thought. What the hell was I fucking talking about?
Me being a Will Hirsch show and that I should
Yeah,
stop
yeah,
talking
yeah.
about it.
Yeah. Stop defending yourself because that shit's not. Nobody thinks that. Just haters in the comments and stuff. You guys get a lot of undue hate. Like I've seen people kind of talk shit and stuff like that, and I just don't understand it because I think people don't like to see somebody do better than them or whatever. But no, I don't. You guys are so similar. Like the way you explain it during Blade Show, it just sounds like how a normal friendship would happen.
Yeah.
So I don't see it that way. But I just figured because you said in the podcast, I was like, that doesn't make sense. And you said it again now, so I can tell it's something that you're kind of like fixated on in some type of way.
Yeah, I think about it because I do worry sometimes that we get lumped in as just kind of like Will Hirsch followers, but maybe that's just because I'm maybe it's also just because we looked up to them for so long and we're trying to do something different so we don't just get called like Will Hirsch clones that
Yeah,
we're I'm a little bit focused on it because at the current moment in time I am trying to like establish my like like who I am as a
sure.
content creator because I'm still kind of like in between what I want to do with like Balisong content. So I'm
Hmm.
trying to just figure out in my head like where I want to be and what I want to do. So part of that is also me thinking about what can I do differently from those guys. So I guess it
Right.
is in the forefront of my mind. So maybe I'm just like thinking about it too much, which could
Yeah.
definitely be the case. I'm not gonna argue with that.
I think it is. I think honestly, I don't think people. I mean, you guys are so similar in a lot of ways. Like you're. I don't get the same like content. Like I was thinking about this earlier while I was working about how like because I was preparing for this and I was just thinking about, you guys like the vibe of the vibe between you and Ethan and Brandon and Will. Like the vibe is very similar when I watch you guys and when I watch them, and I can tell that you guys are like closely like connected, but the content that you guys are making is literally like
Yeah,
completely
it's
different.
very different.
So I think that's something that's kind of like, at least you have going good. I want to ask you on the more personal side, we can get away from some of the heavy stuff. Just kind of what's been like moving in with your girlfriend, because I moved in with my girlfriend 3 years ago. So,
Oh, there you go.
I know what it's like.
Yeah, it's been absolutely fantastic. I talked about this in the recent Blade Bias podcast, which you should watch. Shill for
I watched
myself.
it.
Let's go. And the audience should watch. Let's go.
Shit hits. That shit hits.
Let's
I'm not gonna
go.
lie. I'm not gonna cap.
But no, it's been very, very nice. So I moved to Florida exactly a year ago
Wait,
as
hold
of
on, hold on, hold on.
yesterday.
I just want to say pause real quick. If you guys are thinking about going and watching that right now, finish this first,
Yeah,
please.
finish this first. Stay here. Wait a second. Then
Yeah,
go.
finish it first, and
Yeah,
then go.
finish it
All
first.
right, your turn. Go. Sorry.
Yeah, I moved to Florida exactly a year ago as of yesterday. And since I've been here, I've just like not had my own place. I've been staying with like my brother and his family, and then my girlfriend's family. And there's just been like no way for me to comfortably make the videos I want to make and have the privacy I want to have. So now that it's finally happening, a lot of my ideas are actually like coming to fruition. There's a lot of things I've been wanting to do that I can finally actually do without getting like, this is a good example. I would not be able, if you would have asked me like 3 months ago if I wanted to sit down and record this podcast, I probably would have been like, yikes, man, I don't know when I'm going to be able to do that. But now I have the freedom to do that. And earlier, my girlfriend, when we first started, she was in the kitchen making her lunch for tomorrow. Then she went to bed. And it's like that stuff. She's very understanding of like, this is what I do. This is like my main hobby is doing videos and doing stuff like this. So like, that's just what I do. And she understands that. So it's very nice to have someone and to be with someone who understands that is my life. That is what I'm going to do. So it's been a huge weight off my shoulders, and I've been so happy as of recently. So it's very nice.
Listen, brother, I'm talking to you about your life, man. Not everything has to be about Balisongs. I'm just asking you how you've been.
Not even just, that's the thing.
I see you made a lot of eggs. You've eaten
eggs a shit ton of eggs.
This guy needs to get tired of fucking eggs like every day for breakfast.
No, sir, I never get tired.
It's like $1,000 worth of eggs you've had already.
Oh my god, it's so bad. But the thing is, just in general, I come home from work and I research like cinematography. I do like interesting camera work. I test stuff, and that's just kind of what I do in my free time, is just like film stuff. So it helps that it all kind of lumps into what I do now. But yeah, in terms of just life in general, I've just been a lot more free and a lot happier, and just enjoying myself more. And it's been very, very nice.
Do you live close to a store? Do you live like within walking distance to a store?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, that's the vibe, man. 2:00 in the morning, walk to the store with your girl.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
you're
free. You can do whatever you want.
I can do whatever I want. I live right around the corner from, like, at the end of our road. You go right. There's a KFC, and then you go a little bit farther, and there's like a pretty good sized convenience store. So it's dope. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what's up, man. Oh man. I don't know. I was supposed to fit this in at some point. I have things that I'm like writing down. I want to like smooth it in, but I feel I'll straight up ask you. I know that you're sponsored by like LDY, and I know that you've seen the influx of like Chinese manufacturers and Balisongs.
Yeah.
And I just want to ask you, like, what do you think that means? Because I know you and Ethan were talking a little bit at length about, profit margins for companies and speculative, margins for companies, American companies. And I was just wondering, like, I don't want to sound like a fucking politician. Like, what do you think about American jobs? But like, what do you think this means for like, as far as like somebody who wants to kind of come up, if the threshold is so low for like how like these guys that are making these Balisongs, like these Chinese Balisongs, $40 in Bali, what is it, Lightning or whatever?
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
$45.
Have you ever thought about like what that means for like the average, manufacturer, like American manufacturer who's trying to get into the space?
I have, and there's a few things that clearly cause a rift between someone like LDY and Nabali's and someone like Squid or Machine Wise. Like the biggest rift there is just the general shipping is a big one. I'll throw that out there before I forget about it. Shipping is a huge, like, if I have to wait 3 months for shipping, I'm already significantly less interested because I'm impatient. I know everybody isn't, but I get impatient. So
everybody is.
yeah, that, and then also just the general communication. Like LDY, I am technically sponsored by. However, they're not really, like, they're not in my bio as a sponsor. I don't really associate with them too much because there's not really a communication there. It's mostly just they'll send you a knife and that's kind of it. And I feel like the difference there is, of course, there's a language barrier, but just in general with time zone miscommunication, there's a lot to get that to work properly. So I feel like somebody like Dalen Machine Wise is a good example of going to Blade Show, shaking hands with Dalen, having him hand you your knife, and then you post about it for the next couple weeks and tag him, and now you two are like, you're cool. And with somebody like LDY, somebody like Nabali's, especially Nabali's, who is mostly just a faceless, like, we don't know who really runs Nabali's. There's no specific like person that's behind it. It's a lot more personal for some of the smaller American makers than it is for someone like Nabali's and LDY and Max Ace, all those companies. So I feel like even though the product itself, some of the stuff coming from some of those overseas manufacturers is fantastic, and it is like probably some of the best you can get for the price. But there is that level of personal disconnect that still would lead me to buy something like a Machine Wise product, or still would lead me to buy something from Squid when I can walk right up to Lucas at Blade Show and shake his hand. Like there's definitely a disconnect there that unless one of those companies were to migrate into the US and base everything into the US, I don't think that really, it's really, really hard to make that, like, to bridge that gap. So I think there'll always be a separation between like small American makers and bigger Chinese manufacturers. There will always be a difference there, even if the products are very, very close.
They're getting similar. Yeah. I mean, I will say, like, I have a LDY series, and sometimes that thing fucking pisses me off, man. It's just so much different than like everything that I flipped. And I think it's like the first thing that I have that's like truly neutral. So I don't know if it's 100, it's not really 100% neutral, but it's like closer to neutral than I felt. And I'm just like, fuck, this thing keeps like stabbing me. And anyways, I don't even know why I brought that up. But okay. Last thing I want to tell you, and then we can end this thing because I want to keep them fairly short, and then we can do it again sometime if you'd like.
I ramble a lot, so that's my bad if it was going on longer than intended.
No. I mean, I literally don't care. I just wanted to keep it within a reasonable time because people are going to stop watching, whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But and then you can come on another time if there's something that you want to talk about or whatever along the lines. I'm sure if you guys got big projects, whatever. Yeah, but okay, so a few posts back, or like however many posts back that I made, I think I was talking about something or the other, and you were in my comments and you left a comment along the lines of like, oh, I think I was talking about running, and you were like, oh, I want to start riding my bike. I want to start doing this and that. Listen, man, is Balisong Sam? Have you seen Balisong Sam?
What he looks
like? He's swole, right?
He's jacked.
I'm swole too. I'm swoller than Balisong Sam. I'm just kidding. Limp arms.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be funny if, like, out of nowhere, like, I had been hooked up to that machine from Teen Titans where, like, sucks the life out of him? And I'm just, like, fucking scraggly, like, somehow. No, but I want to get you working out, man. Next time when I see you at Blade Show, I don't know when the next one will probably both be there, but I'm going to poke you in the stomach. And if your stomach is soft, I'm going to choke you.
Do it.
All right.
Do it. Choke me out.
You're going to start working out because you have a lot of free time and freedom, and you have so much energy that you're backlogging Blade Bias videos for like the next 3 years. So why don't you take some of that energy and go to the damn gym?
I know. I should. There's a few not too far from here now. So I thought about it. I started going to the gym a little bit, and I did start running after that video. I did start running a little bit. I've gotten a few runs in, and I've noticed it's just a matter of like consistency. It's just the consistency that is difficult for me, and a lot of it is just because I haven't worked out before. I haven't had the consistency of getting up and working for myself. I haven't had that before, just because I haven't worked out like that. So it takes a lot for me to get into that, but I do actively, like, I want to start running more. I want to start going to the gym more. I want to get more active.
Awesome.
So I definitely want to do it. And I'm kind of taking the little steps here and there. Since I moved, you see me making a shit ton of eggs, but that's just because For the past, I don't even know how many years, I have not eaten breakfast, not a single time.
Oh,
I
yeah.
just don't eat breakfast. I don't eat for like the first 6 hours I'm awake, and it kills me. But for the longest time, that's just like what I did. So now that I'm on my own, I'm trying to eat better. We're cooking more. I'm trying to eat like proper meals, and like in the morning get a good breakfast, for dinner get a good dinner, get some good lunch in between. So I'm starting to take better care of myself. So yeah,
Well,
next
I
time you
mean,
see me, I'm gonna be swole. No,
you better be, man. If
jacked.
not, you already know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna poke you
Yeah.
right in the stomach, right in the stomach. But yeah, no, that's awesome, man. And honestly, like the living situation that you're in previously, the way you describe it, just from the outside looking in, like from somebody who has consistently worked out or has been consistently working out, has done it for years, like you can't, like in that environment, you really can't. Like it's just
Yeah,
impossible to be
it's very
consistent.
difficult.
So your best times are coming, man. So I'm excited for that. It's gonna be good. And also on a personal note, if you ever need advice for like your nutrition, like obviously working out, you'll find something, but like nutrition, that's actually what I'm going to school for. So
Mm,
graduating this semester, and then
nice,
I'll go to do my master for consumer science. So just,
nice.
all that stuff's like my thing. So I love it. So if you ever need advice with that, so you can stop eating fucking eggs every single meal.
Hey, shut up. Listen,
All
I
right. All
eat
right.
more than just eggs sometimes. I had eggs and a bagel today.
Oh, sweet. Yeah, there
Let's
you
go.
go. Was it an everything bagel?
It was a cinnamon raisin bagel with strawberry cream cheese.
Damn, that sounds good. I better go eat.
It was good. It was good as hell.
All right, man.
Not
Well,
gonna
it's
lie.
been fun. It's been awesome. I really enjoyed talking to you. The
Yeah.
vibe's cool, and we could do this anytime you want. So is there anything you want to say, closing out, anything you want to mention?
Yeah, subscribe to Blade Bias. We're cool. That's kind
Cool.
of about it. Follow me on Instagram at Telestro with 3 O's because Telestro was taken. So yeah.
Yeah. Hey, who else should they subscribe to that's also the best Balisong YouTuber to ever exist?
Um, subscribe to Will Hurt. No, I'm just kidding. You can't flip your
Yeah.
ship. Definitely sub to the
Yes.
homie. Yeah, it's been great. I tune into your content. I don't watch it like every time you upload, just because I don't
Sure.
on YouTube. I don't really consume that much Balisong content.
Mhm.
But no, every time like an interesting title comes up, I'm like, let's see what he's got going on here. Let him
Yeah.
cook. Let him cook.
The
But
clickbait's been working.
let's go. Some of them have worked. No, but genuinely, you make some banger videos. They're fun. They're fun to watch. Kind of the
Thank
same
you.
thing as Blade Biases. It's just enjoyable to just sit there
Sure.
and just kind of flip along and just let it play and just kind of have a little chat. So yeah, it's fun. I like it. You're
All right,
doing good
man.
stuff. So
Yes, sir. You too. You and Ethan, and try to
hey,
convince him to let me get him on here because that would be dope.
yeah,
All
he'd have to. He'd
right.
probably maybe after he watches this one, maybe
Yeah, maybe he'll
he'll be
warm up to it.
convinced.
If not, that's
Yeah,
okay. I'm not going to force you. All
get
right,
on the
but hey,
podcast right
get
now.
on the damn pod.
Beat him
All
up.
right, let's close it out before we banter for the next 30 minutes.
Good idea.
All right, signing out, y'all. Uh, follow Telestro and Blade Bias. All right, rock on.
Bye bye.